Cody made his way to court, anticipating control. But Christine entered with receipts. It wasn't about money, what happened next. It was about years of silence, sacrifice, and finally telling the truth. From birthday call skips to luxury house upgrades at Robin's place, the cracks in Cody's narrative are impossible to overlook. Even Meri's subtle stepping in with documents that could flip everything on its head. You won't believe where the trail of money takes you. Pull up a chair. This is one story you'll want to see unfold. Watch now. It's strange, isn't it? How silence can say more than words ever could. How one quiet look across a courtroom can carry the weight of years of betrayal. That's precisely what occurred the morning Cody Brown appeared in court. Hair rumpled, jaw clenched, with a glance that indicated he'd expected it, yet wasn't prepared for it. He'd spent years building a persona that was, according to the story, misunderstood dad, worn-out husband, the guy who was attempting to keep a family intact. This was no family conference. This was an accounting. And for the first time in a very long time, Cody wasn't calling the shots. You ever get the feeling someone's been getting away with something for way too long? That annoying sense, like the pieces never quite fit, but nobody wanted to press too hard? Well, Christine pressed. And what unraveled wasn't just a tale of delinquent child support. It was about what occurs when trust shatters, not with a bang but in the subtle forgotten spaces, forgotten birthdays, unpaid bills, unspoken sacrifices. This wasn't about vengeance. It was about dignity, about justice, about teaching your children what courage actually is when the cameras no longer roll. Because when Christine entered that courthouse, she wasn't angry. She was ready. Receipts, records, all unpaid invoices and bounced tuition payments, cataloged with the precision that results only from someone who's been quietly keeping score, not out of malice, but out of need. And across from her, Cody flushed, agitated, clearly alone. No Robin at his side. No joint front. Only law documents and an appeal he could hardly afford to file. Now here's where it gets messy. The court wasn't seeing numbers. They were seeing trends. At one point, Christine's attorney pushed a solitary piece of paper across the table, just one. And Cody? He didn't protest. He didn't even flinch. He went silent, because in that moment, he knew. It was a bank transfer. Almost $15,000, transferred from a standby account days prior to the child support hearing. An account that had once been jointly held with the family. No reason, no memo line. Simply gone. Christine didn't need to accuse him of anything. She simply let the figures do the talking. And the judge? Well, let's just say, it took no time at all for questions to begin piling up. Where did the money go? Why had the account been reopened? And if Cody was as broke as he'd been claiming, why were Robin's Amazon shipments suddenly coming by the truckload? This is the painful part. Because it's not merely about legal documents or property rights. It's what occurs when one family survives in quiet poverty, while another thrives, untouched. One daughter could not even afford her senior pictures. Another kid mentioned he had to take a semester off from college because nobody would sign a co-sign for a loan. Meanwhile, new lighting fixtures appeared uptown. Drapes were ordered to custom fit each window. A spa weekend in Sedona made the rounds on the social media circuit before somebody discreetly erased the pictures. So the question is, when is enough finally enough? And maybe more importantly, how long do you allow someone to rewrite the story before you jump in and say, no, this is what actually happened? Meri did. Sneakily, surprisingly. She had kept quiet for years. Posted inspirational quotes, played peacemaker. But when her own records didn't balance, when $75,000 from her guaranteed payout vanished into thin air, that's when she gained her voice. She's not the only one. Christine and Janelle are quietly planning in the background now. Not to attack, but to reclaim. And Cody? He's out of places to hide. Because as he's making threatening appeals and spinning lies, Coyote Pass is due. That land, his pet project, his badge of honor, the land he once called their future, is a financial time bomb today. A six-figure balloon payment. No extensions. No delays. And the clock is ticking. This is not merely a battle for custody or a show in the courtroom. This is legacy. What will you be remembered as a father? What type of man takes a stand for tough truth? And what type of man cowers behind the quiet checkbook of someone else? For while Cody informed the judge that he couldn't pay child support, it seems fans claim to have seen him test driving a luxury SUV the very next day. Guess what color? Robin's favorite deep metallic blue. And right here, this moment, it's where the whole thing begins to come apart. So if you've ever tracked along with the Brown family and thought, something just doesn't feel right anymore, you're not alone. We're going in on the whole story. Every receipt, every rumor, every red string on the evidence board. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. So click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all the latest, right here on Sister Wives Daily Scoop. Because this family drama, it's finally starting to hit home. And as Christine quietly remarked as she left court, this isn't about punishing him. It's about what our kids deserve. Now let's get into exactly what happened, start to finish. You and I are sitting here right now with a truth that's hard to ignore. Cody Brown has long positioned himself as a stressed-out dad, a guy who is shouldering the emotional and financial burden of a huge family. But this time around, the stress may be getting the best of him. Cody allegedly lost it after a recent child support decision left him agog. He stormed out of court, eyes flashing, mumbling that the ruling would ruin him. That wasn't a hyperbolic pose, either. It's apparently precisely what he said to the judge. And when a court clerk trailed him out into the parking lot, Cody didn't get better. Instead, he doubled back, snapping that he wouldn't be strong-armed into paying for children who've been alienated against him. It's not about money, it's about control. Christine wasn't around to listen to it. She was still in there, quietly collecting the signed papers, but her lawyer certainly caught wind of it. And courthouse gossip claims they were already one step ahead. As Cody was racing into the parking lot, Christine's legal team was already making plans for what they knew would be his next step. A court appeal. And not just any appeal, but one that would keep the case tied up for months, perhaps longer. This entire blow-up wasn't spontaneous. The judge's ruling was a slap in the face for Cody. The payments were drastically more than he anticipated, and the order came with retroactive support dating back over a year. Christine was prepared. She had the receipts, literally school bills to copays to Venmo shots. With all of that paperwork spread out, Cody didn't have a lot of space to debate. Christine arrived in court ready. Cody arrived with excuses. He's angry, one family friend said. But it's his own fault. He treats child support like some sort of punishment. It's not revenge, it's reality. Cody's already distorting the facts. However, he's telling close friends, according to reports, that Christine blindsided him. The judge was unfair, and the figures don't show what he's actually making these days. And now the rumor is that he intends to appeal, and loudly. Rumor has it the appeal discussion began before the ink on the ruling even had a chance to dry. At home, the storm raged on. By those who know Robin best, Cody spent the night walking back and forth in their family room, ranting about phony numbers and deeming the judge's decision a political hit job. But family sources don't believe this is about justice or morality. It's about delaying. One of them said it straightforwardly. He is trying to prolong it, hoping Christine gives up or the payments are delayed. Delaying the truth does not make it go away. But here's where it really blows up in their faces. By threatening to appeal, Cody might have let in the possibility of a complete financial audit, that is, handing over everything, spending history, income streams, and previous money transfers. And if those records are made public, the cracks might run deeper than anyone anticipated. Because according to whispers from the legal team, one of those transactions caught their attention, and it was made just days before the court ruling came down. And whose signature was on it? Guess who? Cody's. That's when things got serious. Christine's team didn't mess around. They pushed a highlighted copy of that sale across the table in proceedings. The minute Cody laid eyes on it, his whole demeanor changed. The attitude, the way he played the victim, the whole thing, it disappeared. Receipts don't lie. Reactions do. Someone in the room commented that Cody appeared to be truly shaken, and that doesn't happen often. The report indicated a withdrawal from one of the family's joint accounts, made within 72 hours of the child support hearing. The amount? Close to $15,000. Pef. Gone. Moved. Christine didn't need to speak. The facts spoke for themselves. You and I are sitting here, currently with a truth that you can't get away from. Cody Brown has always portrayed himself as a father under the gun. The man with the weighty burden of an enormous family emotionally and financially. But this time, the pressure might just be too much. Sources close to production tell us that Cody recently flipped out over a very dire child support ruling that left him floored. He stormed out of court, eyes blazing, muttering that the judgment would send him bankrupt. That wasn't hyperbole, either. It's allegedly what he said verbatim to the judge. And when a court clerk trailed him out into the parking lot, Cody didn't pipe down. He doubled down instead, snapping that he wouldn't be strong-armed into paying for children who've been turned against him. It's not about money, it's about control. Christine wasn't around to hear it. She was still in there, quietly collecting the signed paperwork. But her lawyers certainly caught the hint. And courthouse rumor has them already a step ahead of him. By the time Cody reached the parking lot, Christine's lawyers were already mapping out what they expected would be his next step. A court appeal. And not only an appeal, but one that would take months, possibly years, from dragging out the case. This entire blow-up did not just magically appear. The judge's ruling came as a sledgehammer to Cody. The payments were much more every month than he had anticipated. And the order included retroactive support going back over a year. Christine was prepared. She had the receipts, literally school bills, co-pays, Venmo screenshots. With all that paper in front of him, Cody had little leeway to dispute it. Christine arrived in court ready. Cody arrived with excuses. He's angry, says one family acquaintance. But it's his fault. He treats child support like it's punishment. It's not revenge, it's reality. Nevertheless, Cody's already spinning it. He's telling close friends, according to reports, that Christine blindsided him. The judge favored her. And the figures don't accurately represent what he's actually making today. And now the rumor is that he intends to appeal, and loudly. Rumor has it that the appeal conversation began before the judgment was even dry on the page. At home, the storm raged on. He went around that house, raging about phony numbers and that it was a political hit job the judge had ruled. Say sources close to Robin. But insiders at home don't believe it has anything to do with justice or fairness. It's stalling. He's trying to stall this out, hoping Christine quits, or the payments are delayed. Said one person bluntly. Stalling the truth does not make it go away. But here's where it really bites. By threatening to appeal, Cody might have invited in a complete financial audit. That involves handing over all of it. Records of spending, sources of income, and previous money transfers. And once those papers get into the open, the cracks may extend farther than anyone thought. Because according to whispers from the legal team, one of those transactions caught their attention. And it was made just days before the court ruling came down. And whose name was on it? No surprise, Cody's. That was when things turned serious. Christine's staff did not dawdle. They placed a marked-up copy of that transaction in front of him during proceedings. As soon as Cody laid eyes on it, the swagger, the indignation, the entire victim act dissolved. Receipts don't lie. Reactions do. Someone in the room commented that Cody appeared truly shaken. And that does not happen often. The report indicated a transfer from one of the family's existing joint accounts, made within 72 hours of the child support hearing. The figure? Almost $15,000. Poof, gone. Moved. Christine didn't need to speak. The facts spoke for themselves. No elaborate excuse. No theatrics. Just a single line, written on the transaction slip. Family needs. By itself, maybe that wouldn't have caused concern. But the surprise, that account had been dormant for more than a year. Cody, according to Christine's attorneys, turned it back on, just in time to transfer almost $15,000. Just days before the court's child support decision. That was more than bad timing. It was a shot across the bow. There is no official charge of impropriety on file at this point. But sources offstage claim, Christine's team considers this no accident. One insider summed it up this way. Christine didn't have to charge him with fraud. She simply presented the documentation. And when the judge saw it, the courtroom went still. Reportedly, the judge looked right at Cody and asked, "Is there anything you'd like to clarify?" But Cody didn't explain. He went quiet, stone silent. And that silence, it said everything. Sometimes the loudest confession is no confession at all. That was the moment when, according to those in the room, everything changed. The judge's decision had already been going Christine's way, but this nailed it. What might have been a pro forma suddenly became a reckoning. With the ruling now public, even lawyers are chiming in. A retired family court mediator had this to say: "You don't transfer that amount of money on the eve of a support hearing, unless you know what's on the horizon, and doing it from a long idle account. That's a red flag, period." Meanwhile, Robin wasn't in attendance at the hearing, but she's reportedly furious. Not so much about the support order in itself, but because their family is being pulled into the drama. And Flagstaff's abuzz. Residents argue the money didn't disappear. It could have ended up right where folks always suspected, in Robin's mailbox. Where the money ends up is what matters. Fans have been monitoring this as well. Some internet sleuths correlated the timing of Cody's move to a delivery of a luxury haul outside Robin's home. Patio furniture, bulk Amazon deliveries, all appearing the same week. Coincidence? Some don't think so. One commenter commented, "You don't covertly move $15,000 and then have brand new patio sets shipped in. The optics are terrible. The timing's worse. And that could be only the start." Christine's office is said to be monitoring more transfers. An insider says Cody could have been sending money in small chunks, just a little bit at a time, so it doesn't appear suspicious. But collectively, it might show up in big picture form. It's not one transaction. It's the trail of breadcrumbs he's creating. Christine wasn't seeking a trophy as she exited court. She didn't parade. She didn't brag. Someone close to her legal team commented that she walked out looking vindicated. And that's a rather different type of win. It was never about punishing Cody, she told her attorney. According to charges, it was about doing the right thing for their kids. That's it. That's all. And she'd come prepared. By sources, Christine had been quietly building a case for months. Each bounced tuition check, each unpaid doctor's bill, each school supply and dental visit she fronted, while Cody concentrated only on what she characterized as his main household. This wasn't just about cash. It was about mattering. Because to Christine, Robin's house wasn't merely where the legal wife resided. It was Cody's economic haven. All that lay beyond it, including the other children, was subject to negotiation, disposal. And that, more than the finances, shattered Christine's silence. That hurt the worst. By all accounts, Cody and Robin shared everything: mortgage, utilities, household costs. None was divided, because all belonged to them, together. "I don't know what happened in Robin's house," Christine said once, "but I was constantly amazed at how nice everything was. That backyard was always immaculate. There was always new equipment." Sometimes silence doesn't conceal the truth. It highlights it. Initially, Christine allegedly wanted to clear the matter amicably. But when Cody showed no inclination toward acknowledging his obligation towards the children who did not share Robin's dwelling, she had no option. And then her attorney uncovered a chain of suspicious PayPal invoices, accompanied by withdrawals from an LLC family account. Quietness then vacated the courtroom. Those receipts began to tell a disturbing story. In more than 5 months, small payments, typically less than $2,000, were made from an account associated with one of the Browns' former business ventures. Where did they end up? An internet business allegedly under Robin's name. Not all secrets are hidden. Some are listed and dated. Although Christine's attorney didn't directly accuse them of money laundering, she didn't need to. "The judge doesn't need to see intent," she reportedly remarked. "The pattern is enough." That pattern is what fans are currently dubbing the PayPal trail. It's a testament to how much Christine had to endure, simply to receive what should have been taken care of ages ago. Meanwhile, Cody was moving money quietly. Christine was investigating quietly. With the assistance of a friend, a rumored accountant, she began matching every deposit to family milestones and events. That is where something caught her attention. The largest PayPal deposit of them all. It coincided with Robin's birthday weekend. Cody didn't see the children from the other families that weekend. Not even a call home, one teenager told a friend. But a few snapshots revealed something different. A spa trip to Sedona, up then quickly deleted. When birthdays are used as cover-ups, the truth isn't far behind. And if Christine's evidence stands up, this is not about late payments. It's about habits. behavior, priorities, neglect, and the judge is said to be scrutinizing even further that $15,000 transfer, the one Christine's lawyers slipped on the table. Robin wasn't in court, but she was in attendance, not because anybody uttered her name, but because the paper trail kept leading back to her front door. According to sources, since the judge's decision, Robin has remained silent. She's ceased responding to family group chats and is leaning more than ever on her position as Cody's one true wife. But although she's been mum, her expenditures haven't. The louder the quiet, the larger the paper trail. The same $15,000 transaction Christine raised an eyebrow over, it allegedly mirrors to the penny. A luxury furniture bill from a Flagstaff interior designer. A social media posting by that vendor featured the order days before the hearing. The posting, deleted. But admirers screenshotted all. One Redditor even said the designer only has one client in that gated community. And come on, there's not much mystery as to who that would be. And this wasn't an isolated incident. Robin's supposedly been renovating her home for months. New lighting, bedroom furniture, exterior remodels. Nothing inexpensive. A former neighbor even reported to a local blog that delivery trucks now arrive like clockwork. It's like viewing a Pinterest board as reality, she joked. But what appears to be like a dream for some, feels like a betrayal for others. Because while Robin spruces up her house, Christine's been patching together assistance for tuition and dental expenses. One of her children is already applying to college. The contrast in support couldn't be greater. And court documents became public, social media blew up. Hashtags #where is the money and #Brown family receipts trended. TikTok artists started editing together bits of Robin's unity and fairness speeches with sarcastic remarks. One even employed a Sure Jan meme to make the point. One fan captured it best. Cody explained he couldn't afford Christine's back payment while Robin was off purchasing custom drapes. You can't make this stuff up. And quite frankly, that's what makes it worse. Optics are important in the courtroom more than anyone realizes. When it is obvious that one parent is living in luxury, designer furniture, gleaming upgrades, bespoke everything, while the other is paying long overdue bills and overdue Venmo requests, it sends a signal. One family law expert summarized, judges don't like games. If they think someone's secreting cash or passing money through a spouse, they begin to search closer. And in accordance with sources near the case, that's just what Christine's lawyers might be requesting next. Official access to Robin's business accounts. Money speaks, but paper trails, they bear witness. This isn't even about whether Cody paid child support. Now it's about whether money destined for the children was being diverted to fancy headboards in boutique stores, high-end furniture, and yes, even that notorious doll room. And now the kids are said to be coming forward. It's bad enough that former spouses fight over money. But when the kids get involved, that's when things change. And insiders say that Cody wasn't prepared for the emotional baggage that came crashing down after the court decision leaked. Several of the older children, who'd remained silent for years, allegedly started spilling the beans on what they'd witnessed. And more importantly, what they'd been deprived of. One young adult confided in a friend, I had to drop out for a semester. Nobody would co-sign my student loan. Robin's children, by contrast, were homeschooled in a specially constructed suite, each equipped with a brand new MacBook. It was like we didn't exist, they said. When one child succeeds and another stumbles, it's no longer parenting, it's favoritism. That type of wound doesn't erase. It festers, it accumulates. And finally, it overflows. Christine's lawyers, sources tell us, are taking notice. In the background, they've allegedly been collecting messages, store receipts, even pen declarations from some of the adult children, those who've remained loyal to their mother every step of the way. And this has nothing to do with going after Robin or the younger children. It's about demonstrating a trend, one that an insider squarely referred to as selective parenting. It's not a term of law, but when combined with bank records and screenshots, it hits like a punch in court. Particularly when one daughter supposedly brought proof that Cody had skipped her birthday for 3 consecutive years, but had sent not one but 2 pricey presents to Robin's youngest within the same month. And birthdays were not the only sensitive area. And then there was one teen tale that hit particularly close to home.
They did not have senior photos because no one could afford the photo package. The same weekend, Robin made a beaming post about her just decorated foyer. The post vanished within a few hours, but not before they took screenshots. When your family room is remodeled, but your daughter misses graduation photos, something's broken. Christine, meanwhile, hasn't made these facts public, but her friends say she no longer feels bound to protect Cody's reputation. She would say to the kids, "Don't speak badly of your dad," said a friend who has known Christine for many years. Now she says, "Speak your truth." And that's just what they're doing.
Sources indicate Cody didn't take it in stride. One family Zoom meeting supposedly devolved into chaos after one of his sons posed the question, "Why is there always money for Robin's things, but never for our college applications?" Cody's answer, "None." He signed off. That moment, narrated and recounted in texts and second-hand accounts, has become emblematic of the whole unraveling: the silence, the favoritism, the unwillingness to own up, unless ordered to do so by a court. You can't say poverty on the courtroom steps and luxury on the showroom floor. And just when you're thinking the image situation can't get any worse, it does. Because, while Cody explained to a judge he couldn't afford the court's support order because of unstable income, he was reportedly seen test driving a luxury Mercedes sport utility less than 24 hours later. And the color? Robin's favorite, deep metallic blue. The sighting wasn't some rumor from a far-off cousin. It was posted by a fan in a closed Facebook group, swearing that they spotted Cody behind the wheel at an upscale dealership just north of Flagstaff. He wasn't window shopping, nor sapping. He wasn't just looking. He was driving. Every screenshot, every rumor, every chrome badge, it all mounts up. When questioned if he was exchanging something in, Cody supposedly laughed and commented, "Nope, this one's just for me." And that's when it went viral on social media. Screenshots, fuzzy photos, and statuses began spreading, evidence of yet another instance where Cody's public protestations didn't exactly align with his private actions. There is still no documented purchase on record. Not yet. But the fact that Cody was actually thinking about driving off in a luxury Mercedes says pretty loudly, this is not a man pinching pennies to keep the lights on. Legal experts indicate it could come back to haunt him, badly. If Christine's lawyer decides to subpoena Cody's post-verdict purchases, and a substantial down payment appears on his records, it might destroy his credibility in any appeal. It's difficult to plead poverty when SUV shopping in style, but that's not the half of it. Insiders are beginning to speculate the funds for that SUV didn't even come from Cody entirely. Some think Robin either co-signed or drew down funds from pooled assets to make it happen. If that's the case, and it remains unsubstantiated, that alone has the potential to destroy Cody's expertly crafted courtroom defense. Because remember, in court, Cody claimed to be financially independent from Robin, said they kept things separate, that she handled her own expenses. But now, there's a vehicle out there that might tell a very different story. And while nothing's official, the court of public opinion has already made up its mind. Imagine telling a judge you're broke, and then driving off in a Mercedes, one TikTok user posted. The internet doesn't forget, and it definitely doesn't forgive. Fans are having a field day. One created a parody expense breakdown: hair product, $800, child support, $0, Mercedes test drives, priceless. It's funny. But it also hurts, because for many longtime viewers, it rings too true. And just when it felt like Cody couldn't fall any lower, a surprising figure stepped out from the sidelines. Meri. She hasn't said much publicly in ages. No big interviews. No rants. Just her usual cryptic posts and quiet distance. But behind the scenes, word is Meri's been quietly sitting on some financial records of her own. Receipts that trace all the way back to a major family payout that was supposed to be split evenly. Her share? $150,000. What she received? Less than half. Sometimes silence isn't weakness. It's strategy. According to someone close to her, Meri assumed the missing funds would eventually even out. She gave it time, gave Cody the benefit of the doubt. But after watching the child support drama unfold and seeing Robin's chandelier budget blossom, Meri's patience snapped. And oddly enough, it wasn't the SUV that set her off. Not even the spa rumors. It was a grant application. Meri wanted to grow her bed and breakfast business and contacted a good friend for assistance with navigating small business financing. The accountant posed a simple question: what was your total payoff when the family broke up in 2022? So they searched. Expected deposit, more than $150,000. What showed up in her business account? Less than $75,000. She nace no breakdown. Just a transfer to something described as family fund. A fund no one seems to remember voting for. The figures didn't lie. But someone may have. That moment switched a button. Meri is said to have started digging. Emails, texts, ancient bank records. One text from Cody, stored on her phone, even mentioned the remaining amount and a promise to settle things later. But later never arrived. And now, while Cody's playing the victim in court and Christine is fighting just to secure basic support for her kids, Meri's ledger might end up being the nail in the coffin. Because if Cody really did funnel part of Meri's rightful payout into Robin's account, or used it to cover his own personal bills, his entire equal support argument shatters. Christine and Janelle, they've had their suspicions for some time. A source who is close to both of them explains that they felt Meri wasn't receiving her fair share, but didn't want to push. She was just so reserved, so quiet. Now, they're said to be comparing notes. It's not simply about missing money, it's about trust finally shattering. The three of them together are supposedly constructing a timeline, comparing deposits, mapping patterns, and gradually piecing together the money web that kept the family financially afloat and could possibly unravel Cody's case in its entirety. There's a catch to all this. Meri never wanted to be involved in this battle, not after all that she endured with Cody. The heartbreak. The public collapse. The years away from it all on the periphery. But even Meri has limits. And watching Christine walk into that courtroom alone, while Cody stood there claiming child support would ruin him financially, was too much. He destroyed us first. Meri reportedly told a close friend. And now he wants sympathy. Let him explain where the missing 75 grand went before anyone starts feeling sorry for him. Sometimes the quietest voices carry the sharpest truths, but Cody might not even get the chance to explain. Because just as his finances start to totter like a house of cards, somebody pulled Coyote Pass land records. And what they discover may just revolutionize everything. Turns out there's a 6-figure balloon payment coming up soon. That is, the one asset that has been at the heart of this entire drama. Coyote Pass, so-called family promised land, isn't sentimental. It's on the chopping block financially. And the due date, $125,000. This quarter. No extensions. No do-overs. No leeway for delay. The dream that was meant to join them together could now be the cause of all breaking down. From a county records clerk, who agreed to talk only off the record, the file's already been tagged for action. And if Cody hoped to merely quietly ram through this fight over child support without tapping into the land fund, that dream's dead. People in the know are now suggesting Cody's not fighting to win. He's fighting to stall. Time to redeploy capital. Time to stash assets. Time to do anything to prevent what he dreads most: foreclosure. Because if the account associated with that payment's already depleted by upgrades, indulgences, or that shiny Mercedes, then the land may be gone. And not merely lost. Seized. Christine's attorneys? Already looking at Coyote Pass as a fat target. If Cody doesn't comply with the court order, they can ask for collection by property. It occurs more frequently than one would imagine, particularly when liquid assets vanish. If Cody believed he could outsmart Christine, he forgot she's playing long-term. And perhaps she isn't playing by herself. Word is, Meri is now contemplating joining with Christine, twice the majority of the original wives, bound not by acrimony but by common loss. They were promised this land. They were assured it would be their future. And then there is Janelle. Most of all, Janelle was emotionally attached to Coyote Pass. She camped there. She envisioned building. She saw holidays and grandchildren. It meant something to her. So when she walked off, it wasn't just about the property. It was about releasing what she'd always held onto. But perhaps, she's not quite finished. Gossip from her entourage claims Janelle is now considering a daring move, making Cody a proposition. She's supposedly willing to forgive retroactive child support in exchange for him signing over full ownership of the lot she initially marked out. It's not revenge, it's reclaiming peace. She wants a piece of peace, said one source. She's had enough fighting. But if Cody can't pay what he owes, then it's time he paid her in return. It's an influential proposition, one which would remove the flames from court, at least for Janelle. But for Cody, it's yet another tragic corner in which he's painted himself, because if he answers in the affirmative, he's conceding he can't comply with the court's mandate. And if he answers negatively, he's risking Christine's legal team pressing for seizure even more. Either way, time's running out. And it just got a whole lot louder. Late last night, Christine's lawyer filed a motion for an emergency hearing. Why? Unconfirmed, but sources indicate it's directly related to Cody's recent financial transactions and the balloon payment's imminent deadline. And by morning, it was already in progress. Some accounts begin with a grand dramatic flourish. This one's hurtling toward a showdown. Cody's lawyers were hardly given time to respond. They got word fewer than 12 hours in advance of the emergency hearing and found themselves scrambling. Christine's attorney didn't wait around. She filed the motion late that evening, claiming Cody was in danger of selling off assets and disregarding court orders. In plain language, she thought Cody was actively transferring funds to avoid child support. The Mercedes sighting, the high-end invoice that vanished from the internet, that reactivated old account, all of it went into the filing. Christine didn't have to yell. The paper trail shouted louder than any words. When receipts talk, excuses fall apart. Hearing was closed to the public, but those inside said the room was charged electric. Cody arrived exhausted, drained. Robin wasn't with him. For the first time in memory, he appeared, cornered. And Christine's team, they arrived armed, not so much with evidence, but with a motion to freeze Cody's accounts. Not indefinitely, just until they could conduct a thorough financial review. One legal expert explicated it. This is what courts do when they believe someone's attempting to avoid a judgment. That's what Christine's lawyers were claiming. That Cody, realizing he'd be liable for significant back payments, began subtly transferring money, in Robin's name, in flashy buys and out of the accounts in question. Not just the Mercedes. The pattern, one red flag is suspicion. A dozen is strategy. And then the plot twist, no one could have predicted. Meri. She had used her accountant friend to submit a sworn affidavit, a formal statement that her share of the payout from their family's LLC was short by almost $75,000. And when the judge read it, they went and confronted Cody and asked the very same question Christine's attorney had asked months before. Can you explain each transfer since October? Cody was taken aback. He did not anticipate Meri intervening, and certainly not in this manner. Her little book of quiet records? Now a part of the official record. Names, dates, figures, down to the dollar. That appeal Cody had been relentlessly pushing for. It suddenly appeared untenable. Because here's the thing. If a judge suspects someone of concealing assets to duck paying support, they can do more than reject an appeal. They can come down with fines, garnish wages, mandate audits. And if there's one thing Cody allegedly dreads at the moment, it's a complete audit. It's no longer about the cash. It's about responsibility. One guy in the room told me Christine did not even glance his way. She sat serene, still, inscrutable. She didn't blink. She didn't smile. She just seemed like a woman who waited years for her voice to be heard. The source said. Cody, on the other hand, couldn't sit still. His foot tapped involuntarily under the bench. His attorney requested a continuance. The judge denied it. When it was finished, Christine and her lawyers left solid, quiet intent. But before the door even had a chance to fully shut behind them, Cody allegedly grumbled under his breath. This isn't over. And in a sense, he was correct. Because immediately after that session, someone spilled a secret that left people gagging. It turns out, Cody didn't even pay for his own attorney. According to two different sources familiar with the filings, Cody's legal retainer,
estimated to be about $20,000, wasn't paid out of his own pocket. It was not from a sibling, not a loan, but a straight-out payment from an LLC of a boutique business listed in Robin's name. Christine's staff discovered the name in reviewing documents, where they requested evidence of how Cody planned to fund his appeal. That document has not been released, but sources claim that the name on the payment trail leads directly back to Robin. And when did Meri hear about it? 2 words. Of course. The charade of financial independence just broke. This may be the punch that turns it all around. This is not about joint accounts anymore. This is about power and control. Because when one partner pays the legal fees, dictates the strategy, and remains conveniently mute, that is not enabling. That's power. As one source said, Robin's not merely in Cody's corner. She's authoring the playbook and mailing the checks. Control the dough. Control the narrative. And the optics. Catastrophic. Cody's in court, saying he can't pay to assist the children he raised. Meanwhile, Robin, silent as always, is purportedly funding his defense, renovating her house, and keeping herself as far removed as possible from the drama in the courtroom. That combination of wealth, quietness, and financial support isn't sitting well with viewers. Social media erupted when word of the legal retainer broke. She has to sue for dental expenses, but Robin gets to underwrite Cody's courtroom sympathy tour. One posting said. Another struck closer to home. He's not broke. He's just subsidized by the wife who profits from him being broke. The court follows the paper trail. The jury sees the pattern. Christine, in the meantime, has never been more robust. The judge has not formally acted on the motion to freeze Cody's assets, but legal experts opine that Christine is gaining the upper hand. When judges observe trends of inconsistency and selective disclosure, they will move swiftly. Cody's appeal teeters on a thread, and behind the scenes,
He's reportedly livid, and more alone than ever. But what comes next might not occur in the courtroom after all, because Christine, Meri, and Janelle, they're not just surviving anymore. They're mobilizing. 3 silenced voices, now up together. There's murmur building, quiet, calculating talk of something greater than a courtroom victory. A collective declaration, an in-depth interview, perhaps even a book or documentary that exposes all the money schemes, the emotional wreckage, and the reality of the facade of harmony. Because for the first time in a very, very long time, the women who stood behind Cody are discovering their power without him. And if they say something, that house of cards he's constructed, it may finally collapse. So we want to hear from you now. Should Cody be held legally responsible for every penny that was potentially drained from those old family accounts? And what about Robin? Is her financial contribution complicity, or mere strategy? Tell us what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Because trust me, this tale is far from over. The next video on your screen awaits, and it's one you won't want to miss.